Hello and welcome to the Diamond Report for Monday, March 20th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. Thank you, first of all, to those who have left me some comments on Facebook, just mentioning that they do enjoy this new format as far as having a short video with all the important headlines for the day. And just know that as I go through these, I usually try and put my mouse pointer right over an article, and in the bottom left-hand corner, it will give you the full URL, but what's usually more helpful is just the main website. So in this case, the first one coming up is Daily Mail. So if you look down in the bottom left corner, you'll see the website dailymail.co.uk. So you can look up the article there. As I go through them, I usually will do that. If I happen to forget to mention the website, or if I just don't know the website, feel free to leave me a message on Facebook or wherever you see this video, YouTube. And I will do my best to find the article for you and give you a link directly to it. That's no problem at all. So the first article today, Daily Mail. 2 immigrant high school students who raped a 14-year-old girl in a bathroom arrived in America just months ago from El Salvador and Guatemala. First Democrat official tied to elite pedophile ring pleads guilty. Democrat and former mayor of Hubbard, Ohio, Richard Keenan, 20 counts of sex crimes, including 8 counts of rape. The victim was 4 years old when the abuse started. These pedophile rings go to the absolute upper echelons of the people running the world. They absolutely do, and it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans, it's Democrats, it's royalty, it's everyone you can imagine that are in those top tiers of the New World Order, of the top of the pyramid, of the New World Order pyramid. Those people, for the most part, are engaged in this. So it's amazing when they actually get caught. In this case, this mayor of Hubbard, Ohio, is a small-time felon. So he's certainly expendable when it comes to this kind of stuff. So they will probably not really stick up for him. But if he was a duke somewhere, he would be allowed to get away with it. Absolutely. Next headline. It's a YouTube video. It's actually from the Israeli Live News, or whatever it's called. Prophecy alert. Damascus under attack. Syria seems to prophesy in the crosshairs of Isaiah 17. Damascus becomes a ruinous heap. It's worth a watch. I actually did watch that earlier today. Wildfire near downtown Boulder, Colorado forces more than 1,000 to evacuate the city. That's a Daily Mail article as well. CharismaNews.com. New Age blogger warns members of the occult forming New World Order prophesied in Daniel. Scaremongering about homeschooling. Steve Quayle says, fight for the right to homeschool with all your might, strength, and power. Our children are the heritage of the Lord, not the property of the state. That is a weeklystandard.com article. On the lastgreatstand.com, Russia exposes far left's lunacy and their diabolical scheme to frame Trump. InfoWars article. 5 Arab immigrants gang raped little girl 7 at refugee center in Germany. U.S. and Russian troops are now in the same Syrian city. That's a militarytimes.com article. Scientists have invented a hydrogel fabric that's 5 times stronger than steel. That's on sciencealert.com. Next-gen Russian subs better and cheaper than newest U.S. subs. That's a Sputnik News article. Many Democrats and liberals may find it encouraging that a leading neocon who helped pave the road to war in Iraq is now by their side in running down Republicans for not enthusiastically joining the latest Russian witch hunt. That's a strategic-culture.org article. Trump is challenging the whole CIA media nexus. Nothing like it since JFK. That's a John Rappaport article. Busted. Social media giant caught protecting pedophiles. Refuses to remove child porn from the platform. That's about Facebook. That's an all-news pipeline piece. Operation Indigo Skyfold, the most secret, covert black operation in world history. A courageous chemtrail pilot exposes the global geoengineering program. That's on themillenniumreport.com. New World Order. Rumors of war, the communist global governance takeover. China set to take the leadership role of the new global human order. That's on christiantruther.com. Prime Directive, Project Bluebeam. This is Dave Hodges writing this. thecommonsenseshow.com. He says, I have written about how the NSA has developed protocols which fall into line with the creation of a threat matrix rating system, which is based upon a 16-dimensional analysis of all of an individual's communications. Washington's 30-year earthquake drill for the big one. Orders, studies, ignore them, and then repeat. SeattleTimes.com. The global famine begins. UN announces that the worst food crisis since World War II is happening right now. That's on blacklistednews.com. Blizzard-bound Churchill awaits supply train. Omnitrax says track declared northern Manitoba town's grocery shelves are bare as residents face another blizzard. That's on cbc.ca, Canadian site. Is leaked list of shadow banned Twitter users proof of targeted censorship of truth. All News Pipeline. Graduating with a degree in debt. The average student debt balance for seniors is now $40,000. MyBudget360.com. That's where that is. Terrifying insect-sized robots could render humanity extinct by the end of this century, expert warns. That's on Daily Mail. And then the headline of the day, and of course this is a pro-Rockefeller headline. Philanthropist, oil heir, banker, David Rockefeller dies at 101. That's a USA Today article. But of course you can add so many other incredibly negative, demonic things in there. Trey Gowdy reminds Comey that Obama officials leaking against Trump face up to 10 years in prison. It's a Gateway Pundit article and has a video as well. From enenews.com, nuclear investigator worry over underground explosions at Fukushima. New data shows molten fuel is dropping lower each day, melting deeper into the underground plant. Disaster far worse than the public's being told. Why aren't we reading about it everywhere? Well, obviously they're trying to keep it quiet. Rick Wiles' interview with Steve Quayle today. Powerful interview. Cannibalism in the End Times. I have not checked that out yet, but I certainly will. Red alert, the FBI is now investigating the alternative media for exposing Hillary Clinton. That's an IntelliHub. IntelliHub.com story. Scientists discover way to jam self-driving cars with sound wave hacking. I like David Knight on InfoWars calls them self-crashing cars. So that's what I call them now too, self-crashing cars. Scientists discover a way to jam self-crashing cars with sound wave hacking. John McCain, the rise and fall of an American, quote, hero. That's certainly debatable. Hedge fund CIO. The odds of Trump succeeding are zero in the absence of a new war. It's a Zero Hedge article. Bernie Sanders, Democrat Party is sinking like the Titanic. That's a Your Newswire article. 10-year pedophile ring investigation into ex-PM Sir Edward Heath set to close soon. The global famine begins. UN announces that the worst food crisis since World War II is happening right now. That's a Michael Snyder article of the Economic Collapse blog. Behind the Smiles, China prepares for the worst, will counter all U.S. trade penalties. Trump lashes out at Dems ahead of Comey hearing. Russia story is fake news and everyone knows it. That's a Zero Hedge article. NSA documents prove surveillance of Trump and his family. We know that. Russian ATM spit out cash after malware attack. That's also a Zero Hedge article. Surveillance other than wiretap possibly used against Trump. Sputnik News piece. I'm sure that's probably the case, and they've probably done everything they can to track every move he makes and everything he says. David Rockefeller, former head of Chase Manhattan, dies at 101. I would imagine his, if they didn't already, they're probably taking his DNA and storing it for later use. The elite like the thought of being able to live forever, and I'm sure that when they deem it technologically feasible, I think they will attempt to bring him back. That's just my guess. Global war approaches. North Korea warns if a single bullet's fired, we will nuke the United States. That's an shtfplan.com story. And then Trump blasts floundering Democrats over the fake Russian story. That is a Gateway Pundit article. FBI director says, quote, no information supporting Trump's wiretaps tweets. I find that hard to believe. The fix is in. Comey praised DNC hired cybersecurity firm even after botched report. Man involved in White House bomb scare. Quote, this is a test. That's a Paul Joseph Watson InfoWars article. CEO pay soars in 2016 as employee wages continue to stagnate. That's a Zero Hedge article. Confederate flag near South Carolina basketball arena triggers fans in the NCAA. No surprise there. FBI, NSA, no evidence, quote, Russia manipulated U.S. vote tallying. No kidding. FBI director refuses to tell Congress if he discussed General Michael Flynn's phone calls with Obama. Well, what's that tell you? Sputnik News. U.S. lawmakers consider major structural changes for Secret Service. Yeah, we'll see. Don't F with us. Philippine president rages at European Union in furious tirade. That's a Express article. Mayor calls in FBI after multiple cops in department are accused of raping children. That was in Louisville, Kentucky. And thefreethoughtproject.com. So is this article. Watch, massive cop body slams 80-pound 7th grader at the bus stop. Rand Paul, GOP's Obamacare Light destined to fail. Let's hope so. Civil War, jihadists at war with France and hypervigilance required, says Francois Fillon. We no longer feel safe in the city. Music store owners claim they have been forced to shut down their business and leave Chicago because they supported Trump. Says that they claim they received an onslaught of online hate after being vocal about their support of Trump. Bombshell, Obama's NSA illegally spied on Sheriff Arpaio's prosecution. That's a Prison Planet article as well. Silent killer. Smart meters are destroying your health. It's a Natural News article. Yes, they are. If you've got one, you better try and get rid of it or find some way to dampen its effects. Great Barrier Reef still not dying, whatever Washington Post says. I would disagree with that. At least on the surface. That's a Breitbart article. If you go to geoengineeringwatch.org, there's some articles there about the Great Barrier Reef. And it is, in fact, dying, at least in places. It's so huge that I'm sure, certain places of it are fine, but other sections of it certainly are dying. And it's because of the warming, primarily the warming in the oceans. And that can be attributed to geoengineering. Geoengineeringwatch.org for the real news on the barrier reef. New Zealand expels U.S. spy with broken nose and black eye after incident. Zero Hedge article. Another natural news piece. Natural News launches a standalone blog to insulate natural health bloggers from punitive Google censorship. Globalists freak out over Trump's proposed UN cuts. Well, let's hope that happens. That's the InfoWars article. Cops boil schizophrenic man to death in hot shower, burning off his skin. No charges. Wow. TheFreeThoughtProject.com. They have a lot of cop stories on there. I don't really go to that website much, but I do notice that they have a lot of cop stories. Want proof of Obama's wiretapping? As a Dave Hodges article. Trump in danger, Secret Service refusing to do their job. Dem Congresswoman, Russia committed acts of war against the U.S. Another Prison Planet article. The Prime Directive, Project Bluebeam. That is a Dave Hodges article as well. He's on thecommonsenseshow.com. And the real goal of the mainstream media is to suppress and destroy human knowledge. Yes, it is. That's also Mike Adams, naturalnews.com. The upcoming trade war between the U.S. and China will be the biggest in the history of the planet. That's an Economic Collapse blog article. Here's a Guardian article. Wiping out crime. Face scanners placed in public toilet to tackle loo roll theft. Facial recognition software installed in Beijing convenience to crack down on people taking large amounts of toilet paper. Wow. Ivanka Trump brand sued by San Francisco fashion retailer over unfair competition. Gained an unfair advantage in the marketplace. Quote, from Donald J. Trump being the president. Too funny. Cops. Startup uses facial recognition to improve security. Boy, we're seeing more and more of this stuff going with the technocracy increasing. Used car prices crash most since 2008. Arrest of Twitter user could have serious implications for the world of trolling, internet trolling. There's another article about that up above. I'll have another comment on that one. Biden returning to Washington in push to save Obamacare ahead of repeal vote. Roger Stone responds to U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. Bogus claim cooked up to get Trump associate communicated with Russian hacker fake news headline. Yeah, they wanted to claim that Roger Stone who is closely connected with Donald Trump. They wanted to try and take him down to then bring Trump down as well. It's not working. Roger Stone is a honest guy and above the board. He's an incredible person so far as I can tell. Stephen Hawking will travel to space on board Richard Branson's ship, professor says. I don't think so. Number one, I don't know if anybody's looked at pictures of Stephen Hawking the way he looked back in the 70s or 80s. There's pictures of him then and then now, and he's gotten younger. If you kind of dive into the story and what's going on with Stephen Hawking, I think you'll find out that the person who portends to be Stephen Hawking today is not the real Stephen Hawking. It's obvious. When you look at the pictures, you can tell. And I would just ask, too, I've known people with ALS, and you don't live for decades and decades and decades with ALS. And this man supposedly announced he had ALS the year Kennedy was assassinated. So in 1963 is when it went public that Stephen Hawking had ALS, and here he is still alive today. in 2017. It makes no sense. None whatsoever. Anti-Islam note leaves Des Moines community shaken. Handwritten note calls Muslims filthy and vile people. That's too bad, because the Muslims that I've run into and had interactions with are very good people. And it's those that are what you would consider heretics, the ones that don't follow Islam to a T. Those are the people that are just like everybody else. And it's the ones that do follow Islam and follow Muhammad's teachings very closely. Those are the ones you have to worry about, because Islam is rooted in evil. But that does not mean that all Muslims are evil, and they're certainly not vile and filthy people. They're just like the rest of us. Sesame Street announces Autistic Muppet. Introduction of character highlights growing prevalence of autism in the U.S. If you go to my YouTube channel, I've got an interview on there with a guy who was part of the Vaxxed film, and his name, he's a doctor. It's Dr. Fan. And in there he states that, because he's from Vietnam originally, and he states in there that there was no such thing as autism when he was a kid. And he's my age. He's, in his 40s. And he said there was no such thing. And since then, there has been a 300% rise in autism in Vietnam once they became part of the world monetary system, the International Monetary Fund, and started bringing in, all of the Western medicine and so forth. Now they have autism, and it's risen to 300% of what it was. Pretty incredible. 9/11 families sue Saudi Arabia, accuse U.S. ally of complicity in terrorist attacks. Of course. They were one of the biggest quarterbacks in the whole situation. Censored video, proof Obama spied on Trump. Twitter user who allegedly caused journalist seizure is now charged with assault with a deadly weapon. I had to read that because I wanted to find out what was going on. It's a Daily Caller article. But this guy who was basically a troll sent this reporter who he knew had a problem with seizures. He was epileptic, and he sent this guy he tweeted him a GIF or a GIF. Some people pronounce it GIF, an animated little graphic, and it flashed, and it made these like strobe type effects, and it apparently caused this guy to have a seizure, and now they're coming down hard on him. I don't know if they should, but it seems crazy that somebody could get, jail time for tweeting a graphic that just has some motion to it. That doesn't seem like it's that bad, but on the other hand, I guess he could have really gotten hurt. So it's pretty crazy where we're headed. Tattoo removal business booming as fears of deportation mount. Muslim woman called Nazi scum for not supporting Sharia law. They call me a white supremacist. Wow. Breaking, FBI says it is investigating InfoWars. Investigation of Trump's ties with Russia drags Alex Jones and Roger Stone into the spotlight. New disease causing zombie-like symptoms. That's just a kind of a joke piece where they're talking about social justice warriors and how it's catching, and people are just coming down with it left and right. It's pretty funny. Big Bang Theory star confronts leftists for ignoring Islam's abuse of women. Oh, good for them. Blackout on NSA surveillance of Trump family. No surprise. Gallup launches fake poll numbers against Trump, just like during the election. I don't know that ever stopped. South by Southwest, Agenda 21 cancer. Social engineers promote their plans for the future at the expense of humanity. Exclusive. Roger Stone strikes back against the claims that he is a Russian operative. He's about as far from a Russian operative as I am. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's so patently ridiculous. All right. Well, thanks again for joining me and watching the Diamond Report again today. We were a little longer today. We had a lot more to report. And we'll see you tomorrow.